Hello everyone, I'm going to show you now how to work with acrylic paints. You can see I've put on my most amazing clothes, my paint clothes. This is what I wear in the studio, and I really urge you when you work with acrylic paints to not wear anything that is valuable to you or to cover up properly, okay? Because acrylic paints are next to impossible to wash out of clothes, okay? So I'm also covering the surface that I'm working on. Not that the stain table would need to be covered, but if I work directly on it with acrylic paints, I could as well just throw it away after. So I'm just using any plastic. You can use a bin liner, for example, to stick it on the table with your masking tape. You know, in my case, I would just take this up quickly and attach this. Very quick and forward. I'm going to not be too messy in this run, but I want to make sure that I don't get the paint anywhere. So this is fine, and then I'm using my paper that I want to use for demonstration. I always have some sort of cut-off papers that I use for color mixing, and I'm going to demonstrate on this one now how to apply paints and how to mix them, okay? Right. Acrylic paints come in all different sizes. I recommend you get yourself a simple set of a mix of primary colors. It must contain black and white to make them lighter or darker. And there's literally infinite different colors in between that you can get, secondary colors or sort of fancy colors that are very difficult to mix. So you can get little acrylic paints in this size. You can get big pots like that. I'm using so much paint that I'm using literally these almost 2.25 liters as a pot. This is a normal size in between for starting. These are different sizes. So I brought in some sort of primary colors, yellow, red and blue, some black and white, and I'm going to start to mix these now and show you how to do that. What we need as well is a bit of water and our brushes and whatever tools we want to use, really. I've got a selection of brushes here. You see they are in different sizes. My beloved fan brush in larger, some bigger brushes, some spatulas, which are quite interesting. Different spatulas from household supplies, you know, from DIY markets. I like working with them. Brushes, you can literally get anything you want and try to paint with it. Toothbrushes if you want. It's all great for experimentation. And of course we need a bit of water, and we need a palette that we can work on. And as a palette you can use anything from a baking tray, because acrylic paints wash off very well from smooth surfaces, or let's say a sheet of plastic or a plate, for example. So you can mix acrylic paints anywhere. Right, I have my palette here, and I'm going to just show you how to mix these paints. To make that a bit easier, I should just plonk it back down. There we go. There's my blue. And here's my yellow that I can't open. There we go. Yeah. They do open as well at the top, but mine are dried out. You can see I'm not very careful with my clothes because they are only for the studio in any case. There we go. That one works there. Then we have some black and white. Let's see if this comes out. Nope, it's dried. Whoa, that was a lot. Can do a big painting with this. And finally some black. Again, dried out. They have the tendency to dry up at the top, so make sure you clean them after use, which I of course don't do. See, like this. And now it's eased up, and see, and then it comes out nicely if it's clean. Yeah. So anyway, so you would really clean it with a wet piece of paper or something to make sure it's clean, and then you can close it. So anyway, right, you can mix colors by using a brush, let's say one of these, yeah, or a spatula, or your hands. But I quite like using spatulas because it is quite a nice way of separating paints, you know, and then getting them together. Yeah. See, I can do this. If you don't have a spatula, it's perfectly fine to use your normal brush, and it, you know, to use it like this, and you literally just mix it. If you want a bit of white to make it more pink, you know, you use a bit more of that. A bit more will make it lighter pink. So say we want to now create sort of a cherry blossom color. If you realize, oh, there's way too much red in this, you know, I'm going to be using all my white up, and I'm going to have a load of pink at the end because there's so much red. You know, just start another area and say, okay, I'm concentrating on this. See? Now I'm having a very light pink. Yeah. You can of course try to add different colors into it. If you want this bit more orangey, you know, if you mix for example red and yellow, as a result you end up with an orange. Yeah, so red and yellow is orange, red and blue is purple, and blue and yellow is green. See, you've got an orange here, a nice orange, and I can mix that in here. It creates a really nice color. And the most exciting colors are anyway done when you mix your paints and you experiment. And I recommend that you do kind of a mixing session, and then you also have a look what it actually looks like on paper. Yeah, because yeah. This, or I could use, I mean, I can clean these brushes. If you don't have many brushes, then you just keep cleaning them in here, you know, but then you need to dry them, otherwise you water down the paint too much. This is using the paints pure as they are, you know. You can also put this on. The good thing using them pure is that they are fairly dry, so they blend well, yeah. Kind of like you can make really nice effects, painterly effects. Say you're mixing them a lot with water because you want them much thinner. So, yeah. Then you can use them also on top of, let's say, a line drawing. Let's do a quick one. Let's do our little bird wing again. Yeah. Here's our bird wing. Oops. And here's our very watered down paint. Then you can work with that. It's still not watery enough. Let me get a much thinner brush. This one's good. Much thinner brush. And then you can, of course, see, work very lightly. And you see the drawing through, yeah? Whilst if, see how you can see the drawing? Whilst if I was to use the color without anything and I went over it, the drawing's gone. Because it's so thick, yeah? So this is excellent to cover also dark surface. Like my trousers, for example. Look how it sits on the surface, yeah? And if I did that with this, would sink in, yeah? So if you want to work on a dark surface, you do it undiluted. And if you want kind of opaque, which means that you can see through, you can see the structure through, then you can kind of water it down. You can also take away until it's dry. Depends how long, how thick it is for it to dry, you know, but you can mix this. So another technique of putting this together is to also, say you want to mix them randomly, and then you use a spatula, and then you can kind of create really exciting effects, and they're lovely as backgrounds if you want to put a drawing on top or something, or let's say you want to create an interesting paper that you can later on cut up to make into an object or something. Yeah.